In December 2018, the founder of Canada's biggest cryptocurrency exchange died on his honeymoon. He was 30 years old. He had just gotten married 9 days earlier. He had Crohn's disease, a gut condition that, with proper treatment, most people manage for decades. And when he died, 76,000 customers discovered they couldn't withdraw their money. $190 million gone. The official story was that Gerald Cotten was the only person who knew the passwords to the wallets holding all of that money. The unofficial story is worse. 8 months before he died, those wallets were already empty. To understand what happened at QuadrigaCX, you need to understand what the crypto market looked like in 2013. Bitcoin had just crossed $1,000 for the first time. The technology was real. The exchanges were not. Most of the world's Bitcoin trading ran through a single platform called Mt. Gox, a site that had started as a trading card exchange for Magic the Gathering. By 2013, it was handling more than 70% of all Bitcoin transactions on Earth. It was held together with bad code and wishful thinking. When Mt. Gox collapsed in 2014, 850,000 Bitcoin gone, it left a vacuum. And into that vacuum stepped a 25-year-old software developer from Nova Scotia named Gerald Cotten. QuadrigaCX launched in 2013, operating out of a rented space in Vancouver. The pitch was simple. A Canadian exchange, Canadian dollars, fast withdrawals, no nonsense. In an industry full of anonymous offshore operators, Cotten showed his face. He went to conferences. He answered emails personally. By 2017, when Bitcoin hit $20,000 and the whole world suddenly wanted in, QuadrigaCX was the largest crypto exchange in Canada. Hundreds of millions of dollars in customer deposits flowing through the platform every month. Cotten lived well. Properties in Nova Scotia and British Columbia, a private plane, a sailboat, a Cessna. He and his girlfriend, Jennifer Robertson, got engaged, then married in late November 2018, a wedding in India, a honeymoon that would double as a philanthropic trip. On December 8, 2018, Gerald Cotten checked himself into the Fortis Escorts Hospital in Jaipur. On December 9th, he was dead. The cause of death listed, complications from Crohn's disease. His wife Jennifer filed the paperwork. There was no autopsy. One of the death certificates contained a curious detail. His name was misspelled. It read, Gerald William Cotten. For 6 weeks after Gerald Cotten died, QuadrigaCX users couldn't withdraw anything. The exchange said it was a technical issue. Then in January 2019, Jennifer Robertson filed an affidavit in a Nova Scotia court. She stated that she had searched through Gerald's laptop, his USB drives, his email accounts. She could not find the private keys to the cold wallets, the offline storage where the bulk of customer funds were held. The explanation offered to the public, Gerald was the only person who knew the passwords. When he died, the passwords died with him. 76,000 people waited. Ernst Young was appointed as bankruptcy monitor. Their job was to find the money. What they found instead was something far more disturbing. The cold wallets had been identified. Blockchain analytics made that possible. Every wallet address is public. Every transaction permanently recorded. Ernst Young could see exactly where the money had moved. The problem was, the money wasn't there. 6 cold wallets, all of them empty. All of them had last moved funds in April 2018, not December 2018, April 2018, 8 months before Gerald Cotten died. This meant one of two things. Either someone had drained the wallets while Cotten was alive, or Cotten had drained them himself. The Ontario Securities Commission spent the next 18 months finding out which. Their report, published in June 2020, ran 33 pages. The findings were extraordinary. Gerald Cotten hadn't just mismanaged customer funds. He had been systematically stealing them, and he had been doing it almost from the beginning. Here's how the scheme worked. QuadrigaCX operated its own internal trading platform. Customers deposited real money and real cryptocurrency, then traded it against each other. The exchange made money on the spread. What customers didn't know was that some of the accounts they were trading against weren't other customers. They were Gerald Cotten. Cotten created a series of alias accounts. The OSC identified at least 5. He gave them names like R2D2 and C3PO, phonetic spellings of R2D2 and C3PO from Star Wars. The names read like a joke. The numbers did not. The OSC's words, not mine. With a few keystrokes, Cotten could make any amount of fake money or crypto assets appear in his alias accounts, and he regularly did so. On 2 occasions, Cotten credited a single alias account with deposits of $100 million and separately $50 million, money that did not exist. He then used those phantom balances to trade against real customers. Every time he won on paper, someone else took the loss in reality. When crypto prices moved against him, those losses became real. The shortfall had to be covered. The cover was new customer deposits. In other words, a Ponzi scheme. By the time the OSC was done counting, they attributed approximately $115 million of the $169 million shortfall directly to Cotten's fraudulent trading. An additional $28 million was lost gambling customer funds on 3 external exchanges, without authorization, without disclosure. And then there was the personal spending. Between May 2016 and January 2018, Cotten transferred approximately $24 million in customer funds to himself and Jennifer Robertson. Properties, luxury vehicles, the plane, the boat, travel. Robertson would later say she had no knowledge of the fraud. She agreed to return approximately $12 million in assets, the properties, the aircraft, the sailboat, gold coins, cash, as part of a settlement with creditors. The OSC's conclusion. What happened at Quadriga was an old-fashioned fraud wrapped in new technology. The only person who should control your private keys is you. If you're holding any meaningful amount of crypto, a hardware wallet is the single most important thing you can do to make sure no one else, no exchange, no founder, no bankruptcy trustee can ever touch it. The link is in the description. Here is the problem with the official story. Not the fraud part. The OSC settled that. The problem is the ending. Gerald Cotten is buried in Seabright, Nova Scotia. He was cremated, but his ashes were interred. In December 2019, a full year after his death, the lawyers representing QuadrigaCX creditors sent a formal letter to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. They wanted his body exhumed. They wanted an independent autopsy. They wanted DNA confirmation that the person buried in that grave was actually Gerald Cotten. Think about what that request implies. These were not conspiracy theorists. These were lawyers in a formal legal proceeding with 76,000 clients who had lost their savings, making a documented request for official verification of a man's identity and cause of death. The RCMP declined to order an exhumation. The request was denied. And here is where the story stops having a clean resolution. The OSC report establishes the fraud. It does not establish what happened in Jaipur. It does not establish whether the death was real. Consider the timeline. Cotten began his fraudulent trading as early as 2016. By late 2017, as Bitcoin hit its all-time high, his losses were accelerating. The bigger the market moved, the more his fake positions cost him in real terms. By early 2018, the cold wallets were being drained. By April 2018, they were empty. By December 2018, he was dead. The fraud was collapsing whether Cotten knew it or not. By late 2018, customers were already complaining about withdrawal delays. The math was unsustainable. The question that investigators and creditors have never been able to fully answer: did Gerald Cotten die knowing his scheme was about to unravel? Or did he arrange for it to unravel after he was safely somewhere else? The blockchain record adds one more detail. Researchers at Chainalysis, the analytics firm brought in during the bankruptcy, traced portions of the missing funds. Some moved to external exchanges. Some moved to wallets that remain unidentified. As of this recording, those wallets have not been linked to any known individual. Ernst Young, working as trustee over years of bankruptcy proceedings, distributed what assets they could locate. Creditors received somewhere between 13 and 20 cents on the dollar, depending on their asset class. The rest is simply gone, or it's somewhere. In 2022, a Netflix documentary series called Trust No One: The Hunt for the Crypto King documented the creditors' investigation. Several of the people interviewed, researchers, lawyers, investigators, said on camera what they had been saying since 2019. They weren't sure he was dead. None of them could prove it either way. Here is what we know for certain. Gerald Cotten stole approximately $169 million from 76,000 people. He did it over years, methodically, in plain sight, on a platform they trusted him to run. The Ontario Securities Commission confirmed it. It is documented. It happened. Here is what we do not know. The cold wallets were empty 8 months before he died, which means the money had already moved. Where it went next, which wallets, which exchanges, which jurisdictions, has never been fully traced. There was no autopsy. The exhumation request was denied. The death certificate misspelled his name. He died in a country with no extradition treaty with Canada. His wife settled for $12 million out of $190 million. 76,000 people never got their money back. Nobody has gone to prison. And somewhere in the blockchain, that permanent, public, unalterable ledger of every transaction ever made, the trail goes cold. There are two possible versions of this story. In the first, a young man ran a fraud that grew beyond his control, knew the collapse was coming, and died before he had to face it, from a disease he'd been living with for years. In the second, he drained the wallets, flew to India, staged his death, and right now he's sitting somewhere with no extradition treaty, watching this video. The RCMP has not publicly reopened the investigation. The $169 million has not been recovered. Drop your theory in the comments. And if you hold crypto on an exchange right now, any exchange, ask yourself whether you actually own it. The link to the hardware wallet is in the description. Next week, the man who threw an $800 million hard drive into a landfill and has been trying to get permission to dig it up for 12 years. Subscribe so you don't miss it.